sir, let's move to something. We'll just talk about this briefly. There was a coup attempt at the Benin Republic. Were you aware of it?
I read of the coup attempt and the people who were arrested.
Okay. Now, Shehu Sani, on his Twitter page, he wrote, because I got the wind of this through him, through his page actually, and I had to read about it. Coup attempt in Benin Republic. Please don't do it, according to Shehu Sani. Now, Mahadi replied him. Mahadi made a comment under his own comment. Mahadi said, "Why not? May they succeed by the power of God. May God send his angels to help and strengthen them." Mahadi's response was actually the reason why I decided to read this, to bring up this topic. Shehu Sani, I don't know. I understand as a civil rights activist. I understand, especially what he passed through during the military era. The military actually dealt with him, incarcerated him. So I understand that trauma. That trauma is still there. That mindset about the military is still there. That's understandable. But man, we are in a different era today. Barrister, compare this era, our current situation, to that of Shagari situation. Please, in comparison, how can you rate both of them? Our current situation and that during that Shagari time, what actually amounted, what resulted to Buhari's government, Buhari overthrowing Shagari's government. Compare the situation we are in right now to that time. How can you rate both?
Fortunately, I was virtually an adult during Shagari's. I was in the university, so I was an adult. I witnessed what happened. I know the trauma that the Nigerians were facing, and I know the jubilation that attended the coup that overthrew Buhari. So I've lived in both wars. I lived then and I lived now to assess. Always go back to 79. The military conducted an election that was by and large peaceful and fair and produced an outcome that Nigerians wanted, even if it did not produce the right leader. It was still an outcome that the citizens by majority wanted. And then the politicians took the power and took the control of the electoral process and took the control of the economy, the political process, and the armed forces. And then they started messing up. That is what happened. The MPN, if you remember.
But now, I don't want us to dwell too much on this because I don't want us to go back to history. What I asked, Barrister, is I need rating. Now, we have the situation now compared to what we had then that actually prompted the military taking over. What I'm trying to bring, the point I'm trying to make is, in my own opinion, if we have to rate it on 100 on a percentage basis, honestly, while while we are during the Shagari time, we have it probably about 50%. What we have right now is about 100%. In fact, if not even more, it's supposed to be about 10 times worse situation than than the situation we had during Shagari that prompted the military taking over. Because everything, the things that have gone south in this country at this time, there are things that we are in good shape those days. Almost all of them are in good shape those days. So the point is, rating both, comparing them, it's just, to me, it's incomparable. They are far, the difference is just extremely broad. Broad.
I was I was going there to say that the situation now is worse. The behavior of the politician now is worse than what triggered the coup back then. That's why I was trying to give a bit of history. But going straight to the point, the politicians are doing now worse than they did back in from 1979 when the military handed over power. They did what is happening now is far, far worse. And the suffering of Nigerians now is far, far worse than what the politicians inflicted back then that led to the military coming back to take power. It is in a whole world of its own now.
Yeah, and that is the reason my point is to drive this home. And what I'm driving home is military. If the military intervened under Shagari in 2020, in 1983, I was almost an adult. I was in secondary school then. So when you talk of jubilation, we were among those people who went on the streets jubilating. I jubilated. So like I say, I've always been someone interested in current affairs and politics, political affairs. So I followed everything, including what happened during Buhari's regime as a military head of state. So we all jubilated. So if that happened in 1987, 1983, how much more now? We can. This is we. If we jubilated in 1983, this time around it is not jubilation. We will celebrate. Should the military take over, it will be an action that will call for a crazy celebration on the streets, not on the streets. In everywhere, people will jubilate and celebrate for it. So we need it. We need it, but not with this kind of crazy military people, these military current ones that are so corrupt, that are, instead of telling the truth, they are actually demonizing, villainizing their subordinates, the rank and file in the military. So honestly, I am on Mahadisha. Say, in fact, I'm glad he's even. You see, I remember during Obasanjo's second term as a second term as civilian head of state. You remember during his time, during Yaradua's time, during Jonathan's time. I remember, I don't know, this issue of military coup in people's mouth was very scarce. The moment you mention it to anyone, that people will just shut it down, shut that idea down or whatever. I don't know, Barrister, have you noticed that lately that people are boldly advocating for military takeover, including some people who are public figures. Just you can imagine someone like Mahdi, even praying for the coup leaders, a sort of. So I don't know. Have you noticed the same thing, that people are really coming out right now to advocate for military takeover?
Of course, a lot of people, some are afraid but to come up openly and say it, but behind or in closed doors, they express that.
Yeah, people in the recent past, people were skeptical, they were ashamed to make whatever. But even when people have been advocating for the military to take over since even when Obasanjo came back the second time. In fact, I wasn't even happy that we entrenched democracy. Let me be frank with you, because the system, I've always known that this system is not for us. All we needed was military rule, but with a purposeful leader, a leader who is not rapacious, who is decent and responsible, who is patriotic, and who does not believe in mundane things of life, who lives a very simple life, just like Hamid Ali. Hamid Ali lives a simple life or whatever, even though he didn't do that much. The only thing is he saved the money. He didn't squander state money. But we need someone, a military leader that has that mentality of less mundane things of life, material that is not materialistic, who has that a mentality of simplicity, a sort of them with good leadership and patriotic qualities. And if we have something like that, someone like that, or a team like that, of course, Nigeria will be much better than this democracy. One of my major problems with democracy is that it is extremely too expensive. It is full of waste. It is wasteful. Democracy is wasteful. So, and it's just not something we don't have what it, especially now that we are overwhelmed with debts. Yeah, financial debts, for God's sake. Democracy will be too with this the kind of system of government, we can never get out of debt. Only a military rule will a good military leader can take us out of debt, because there will be discipline in spending. Yeah. So
you notice that the United Nations General Assembly meeting is going on.
Yes.
The First Lady led a large delegation of women, governors' wives, to the UN General Assembly for God knows what. The president set up a team to go there for God knows what. Now, the same president, Tinubu, is telling world leaders that they are spending billions and billions in giving military aid to certain countries when we need a few billion. Look at the statement. Now, these people are looking at him and say, look at that fool. He is spendthrift. He is buying jets. He is buying cars of 160 million for his House of National Assembly members. He is profligate in spending money, reckless in spending money, and he's telling us that they are broke, that they are poor, they need help. Who will help such a country that cannot even control its own spending? There's no provision in the Constitution for the office of First Lady, but the First Lady has led an official delegation of Nigerian women consisting of governors' wives and others to the UN General Assembly. For what? At public expense. Now the president set up his own official team to go to that assembly. Again, for what? Only one person is supposed to address the General Assembly. Why do you now carry all this baggage? And you are now complaining to people that we are poor, they should send us aid.
You see, that is my point. As you are just enumerating all these things that we all already know, you are just refreshing, just a kind of igniting that rage in me. For God's sake, I don't know why the military has just still that. I don't know. I just hope someone is doing something behind the door. Honestly, because we just can't continue with this criminal called that has imposed himself on us as the president. This man is just lavishing our commonwealth. Right now, we don't even have the wealth. They have degenerated into borrowing money to squander, borrowing money to actually a kind of coddle their ostentatious lifestyle. That is just what they are doing now. Nigeria is so, as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria, we have gone. What is bankruptcy? This is it's not. It doesn't. You don't need a professional, a professor of economics to define what bankruptcy is. It is just a simple. It's a simple word. Bankruptcy. The definition, in my own definition of bankruptcy, is when you are spending more than when your expenditure is more than your income. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. That is bankruptcy. That is just it. Don't come and define it. Don't go defining some kind of dynamic. That's simple. When your expenditure is far beyond, it's not just close, far beyond your income. That's bankruptcy. when you are not making as much as you are spending. It is bankruptcy. As far as I'm concerned, I don't even know why Nigeria has not been declared bankrupt. Honestly, we are bankrupt at this point because we don't have.
They can't declare us bankrupt because we are still selling oil.
The oil, my problem, why I'm saying that we are bankrupt, because the oil we are selling, we are using it to pay debt. It is no longer, it is the oil now. It's no longer a revenue to us anymore. It's not at this point.
The oil to sell, they will not declare us bankrupt.
No, but that is crazy. As far as I'm concerned, we are bankrupt because the oil, our mineral resources now has been mortgaged already. You have a house. This issue of mortgage, you have I see people going buying a house under mortgage, and they celebrate. They go to church and give testimony, and they throw party to celebrate that they've bought a house. I asked them, did you pay cash? Everything from all the kobo, all the penny, all to the penny? They said no. Is it finance? Yes, it was finance, mortgage, bank financing you or whatever. I said, what? Are you fooling yourself? Are you a fool? What are you celebrating for? You don't own a house. So all the people that live under mortgage, it is not your house. Stop fooling yourself. Stop giving testimony that you've bought a house. It is not your house. It can only be your house when you have paid it off. As long as that house is under mortgage, it is not your property. If you default, that property will be retrieved. It will be taken back from you. That is just the truth. The same thing is happening with Nigerian oil, our Nigerian resources. Tell us, what is it? As far as I'm concerned, until that agreement lapses or elapses, we don't have a resources as far as I'm concerned. That is not our resources. Our oil now belongs to our debtors, our creditors rather. So that is just the reality. Nigeria is bankrupt as far as I'm concerned because we are spending more than what we are earning. That is the reality. That's the simple economics.